Hello, it's the NFL exporter Ty Goodman, and we're doing the mid-season report for the 2013-14 NFL season. We're now starting off with the NFC East. In first place is the Dallas Cowboys at 5-4. For the Cowboys, it's been an up and down season, inconsistent. It's pretty much become the MO in Dallas. On the offensive side of the ball, of course, you have Tony Romo leading the way. Him and Dez Bryant are one of the deadliest combinations in the NFL. But it is this team's inability to run the football that has continued to be a problem. Running back DeMarco Murray was supposed to be the solve to this problem. However, he has a very difficult time staying healthy. When he is healthy, he does provide good run balance. But even at times, like we've seen last week in the game versus Minnesota, he just somehow, some way is unable to be a part of the offensive game plan on a consistent basis. The Cowboys have also suffered injuries to Miles Austin, but rookie Terrence Williams from Baylor has been a pleasant surprise. He's done more than fill in, but pretty much picked up right where Austin leaves off and has been able to duplicate his production. And then, of course, you have all-pro tight end Jason Witten, who is Romo's security blanket. Overall, as far as the Cowboys offense is concerned, unless they can get a consistent running game, which has been the problem over the last few years in Dallas, they will continue to be inconsistent because they end up having to pass the ball too much, and it's all going to come down to Tony Romo in the fourth quarter. Is he going to be able to limit mistakes? On the defensive side of the football, they're average. All-pro DeMarcus Ware has been hampered by injuries and has missed a couple games. They also lost outside linebacker Anthony Spencer. So those are their top two pass rushers. They really haven't been able to get a consistent pass rush this year. But Sean Lee, the inside linebacker who unfortunately was lost last season due to injury, is playing at a high level again, continues to create turnovers and be very diverse in the running as well as the passing game. I really like Lee. He's one of the better inside linebackers in the league. And as far as the secondary is concerned, it's makeshift. Second-year guy Morris Claiborne, along with free agent Brandon Flowers that they brought over last year from Kansas City, do a decent enough job, but I wouldn't consider them shutdown corners or cornerbacks that anybody would necessarily fear. And the Cowboys at the safety position has always been an issue, and that continues to remain the same. For the Cowboys, they have 3 division games left. They also play at New Orleans, at Chicago, and have Green Bay coming in. Of course, if Aaron Rodgers is not playing, that kind of changes the landscape of that game a little bit. But I do have the Cowboys coming in at either 9-7 or 8-8. We'll see how it plays out. The NFC East is very poor this year as far as from a record standpoint. So in 9-7 or 8-8 record, more than likely will be good enough to win the division. Next in line, we have the Philadelphia Eagles coming in at 4-4. This has been a quarterback carousel in Philadelphia as well. They started off the season with Michael Vick, who was playing fairly well, still under a lot of duress from an offensive line that does not have the best pass protection in the world. And once Vick went down with an injury, in came Nick Foles. Foles did a decent job in winning at Tampa Bay. Also did an excellent job this past week at Oakland, tying the singles game record for touchdown passes by a quarterback with 7. But again, it was against the Raiders. He had one poor outing, that is Nick Foles, against the Dallas Cowboys, where he was simply unable to complete passes to receivers who were open in that game. He was actually knocked out due to concussion. And Michael Vick came back a couple weeks later against the Giants, went back out with an injury. So the quarterback situation is a little bit unstable. However, Foles is proven to be a good backup. You pretty much see the best of both worlds when Michael Vick is in the lineup. He has the ability to take off and run, which actually causes the defense to have to play a little bit more honest and respect the running game of LaShawn McCoy. But when Nick Foles is in there, it seems like the passing game excels a little more as he's able to get Riley Cooper, tall wide receiver, a big target, get him involved as he caught 4 of Foles' 7 TD passes last week in Oakland. Also went over 100 yards in the game versus Tampa Bay. However, when Foles is in the lineup, the running game isn't as effective because teams don't respect Foles' running ability and can key on LaShawn McCoy a little more. Deshaun Jackson has continued to excel. He's one of the league leaders in receiving yards. It's really nice to see him back in his groove and playing at a high level. On the defensive side of the ball, the Eagles are just not sound. They don't have much of a pass rush. You know, Trent Cole is still there, but not making much of an impact. This is a young defense that's still trying to come around. D'Amico Ryans is a veteran linebacker there, provides a little stability, but not making the same impact that you think. And the secondary is really an area of concern and weakness. They are last against the pass in the league, and this is a passing league, so if you're not able to stop teams from passing, poses a huge problem. With that being said, the Eagles have games at Green Bay, at Dallas. They also play tough games against Washington, Arizona, and Detroit. They do have those games, Washington, Arizona, and Detroit. Those are 3 straight home games, so a possible chance to make up some ground. Ultimately, I do see Philadelphia coming in at 8-8 or 7-9. Ultimately, their division games, especially against Dallas, that second time, which is the very last game of the season, could be for the division title. Next in line, we have the Washington Redskins at 3-5. I'm not too sure if anybody is surprised that the Redskins are 3-5 at this point. They were 3-5 last year. They actually were 3-6 before they were able to put together a 7-game winning streak to end the season. This is still a very young team. Obviously, Robert Griffith III is coming back from injuries. He didn't play the preseason, so really his first 4 games were his preseason games. With each game, you see more confidence, especially getting his legs under him. Defenses have made it a point to blitz him a lot, knowing that his leg is not back up to 100%. The running game is what essentially sets up this whole offense, and Alfred Morris got off to a slightly slow start, battled a couple small injuries, but he's really rounding into form, running the ball hard, getting back up over 100 yards, and that really helps because it sets up play action, also leaves lanes for RG3 to get around the edges and pick up extra yards. As far as wide receivers are concerned, Pierre Garçon continues to be the #1 receiver in Washington. He's doing an excellent job on the outside, but the other receivers really aren't stepping up. Guys like Santana Moss, Leonard Hakerson, nobody's really solidifying that second wide receiver spot, so that still continues to be a little gray area. But rookie tight end Jordan Reed has stepped in and done a really great job. Of course, he has to avoid some drops like he did the other night in the Minnesota game, but he's an excellent young target and seems to really fill the role, which is leaving Fred Davis, who was the starting tight end, on the outside looking in. As far as the defense is concerned, the Redskins are 28th against the pass, so their secondary is one of the worst in the league, and they're not generating the pressure that I would expect with Brian Orakpo and Ryan Kerrigan coming off the edges. This is a defense who is giving up a lot of points, but it has to do with their offense's inconsistency and struggles, a lot of times not being able to convert on third downs. But overall, this is not a top-notch defense how some may expect. But if you look at their personnel, especially on the second levels, really where they only have a guy like D'Angelo Hall, London Fletcher, and Brian Orakpo and Ryan Kerrigan are kind of their best players. So you can see there's a lot of holes and young players on this team as well. Overall, I have the Redskins coming in at 7-9. They have tough games left against San Francisco, Kansas City, and New York, but that is a 3-game homestand where somehow, some way they can win those 3 games. I'm quite sure we'll put them right back into the equation in the NFC East, but I think it's a little bit too late for RG3 and the Redskins. I don't see them pulling off a 7-game win streak to end the season like they did last year. Last but not least, I have the New York Giants coming in at 2-6. Very inconsistent. Early in the season, they took some hits to their offensive line, so run blocking as well as pass blocking has been a major issue. Running back David Wilson only played a couple games this season. He was out for the season due to a neck injury, which really left their running game in shambles. They've been very ineffective running the ball, so there's been no play action. And Eli Manning has found himself in a situation where he's having to pass every down, and he's just been a turnover machine. We have seen Manning turn the ball over, throwing a lot of interceptions in the past, so I'm really not surprised. But it is shocking with wide receivers such as Hakeem Nicks, Victor Cruz, a tight end, quality tight end that came over from Oakland, Brandon Myers, as well as Ruben Randall in the slot, that he's much more, not that more effective, but again, when you're under constant pass rush, that does make life difficult for you to stand strong in the pocket and to get things done. On the defensive side of the ball, they've given up a ton of points, 36 points, 41 points, 38 points, 30